What are the top 5 books for thinkers? Friends, I have been making a list of books for thinkers. These books are full of knowledge, questions, analysis, great perspective. They force you to think about such lot of things in life. Our number 5 is The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Why did I include this self-help book? This is one of the best self-help book. This book forces you to think about your role, your responsibilities, your aspirations to be a successful leader, manager, father, husband, employee. The first thing this book forces you to think about, what is the definition of success? Are you successful if you became the president of your company, CEO of your company, and you got divorced in the process? Your son is on the drugs, your son is having problems with his studies. Are you successful? This book forces you to think that success is not only professional success, success is professional success plus personal success. You cannot be successful first without being a responsible father, husband, and then you can become leader, manager. The second thing it forces to think about, are you leader or a manager? A lot of people who go to the management position, they are dealing with ad hoc day-to-day situations. They have no visions, no plan. So he gives the example, what is the difference between managers and leaders? Suppose there are some workers who are cleaning up the jungle. The managers are the people who are supervising these employees cleaning the jungle. They are coming up processes to make sure they are productive. They are monitoring their performance, writing performance review, encouraging them to be more productive. Whereas the leaders are who decide whether they are in the right jungle. So when you are a leader, you have to make sure your people are working on the right thing. They are working for a product which will be successful in the market. There's a need in the market. So you have to have a vision to make your team successful. Third thing, it forces you to think how to be a effective manager or leader. Should you micromanage your reportees? What is effective way of managing your employees? He gives an example that he was running out of camera reel when the camera used to be old way, and he started micromanaging his wife how to take photos, and the results were worse. So worst thing you can do is take the best people and give point to point instruction how to do things. He gives example of his son. His son was not doing good in studies or sports, so they decided to help their son. So they would go to every match and tell their son, oh, you are doing amazing, great hit, keep doing. But it was not working. It was not working. So it forced them to think what is going wrong. They realized in their mind their son is a failure. He is not up to their expectations. They are scared of society, what society is going to think about them as parents. They are not actually thinking of their son. Then they decided to give space to their son, let his son to figure out his strengths, what he likes, and what he is going to excel in what activities. So once they gave that freedom to their son, he realized his strengths and he did well in the life. So when it comes to making your team is successful, you have to give them independence. You have to tell them what is your expectation and what are the consequences of not meeting the expectation and what are the benefits for them to meet the expectation. So this book have lot of wisdom on every pages. It gives you great tips how to be successful, how to increase your circle of influence, how to be a good father, good husband, good leader. Today I'm going to evaluate number 4 book, 24 Lessons for the 21st Century by Yuval Noah Harari. In this book he covers a lot of issues which we are facing in 21st century. He gives his perspective, forces you to think about these issues from new angles, new dimensions, new perspective. So I'll cover some three main subjects which I liked about the book. First, let's come to technology. As we know, artificial intelligence and robotics are making great progress. So question is, how our job will look like after 10 years? Will our kids will have a job? There are two views. One view is technology will create lot of new jobs. For example, American army is operating drones. For drones, it needs 50 people to operate it. It needs people to identify the target, find the location, analyze the information, operate it, maintain it. So yes, there will be new jobs created, but there will be jobs that will be eliminated at the same time. With self-driving cars and vehicles, you would not need drivers, you would not need traffic control policemen. So there will be jobs eliminated at the same time. And also, you cannot take some guy working at the grocery and put him in charge of operating a drone. You need special skills. So there would be some people without proper pay, proper work, proper salary. So government has to come with a universal pay. In universal pay, everybody gets some money to take care of their expenses. I have some friends who are living on the retirement funds of their parents. They get limited monthly allowances. They have no ambition, but they are very, very happy. So in the future, these people who are getting minimum salary from government, but they are very happy, are going to be the role model citizens. Logarithms are getting better at making decisions than human we make decision. We don't make decision rationally. It's not we are not making decision out of free will. All intellectuals, they talk about people's free will, but how we make decisions? We just make decision on instant. Thousands of neurons are working for us to take a decision. Is my life in danger? Is it going to give me pleasure? So we take decision based on our experiences, our how our brain is working, and the modern science is hacking into that. So big companies are collecting so much data, what we are searching, what are our hobbies. They have so much data collecting that these algorithm can better decision than us. Another interesting point he brings out in the book is ethics. If you see two pedestrians walking on the road, should you drive in the opposite lane and put your and your family life in danger? That's what ethics come. Lot of self-driving companies are fighting with the ethics. If they have to make a decision between pedestrian life versus driver life, whose life they should save? He comes with a funny logic that a lot of people were given option. If they were asked two questions. If you see pedestrian, should you save their pedestrian life and put your life in danger? Everybody said yes. When it came to buying the car, they prefer to buy a car which saves driver life than pedestrian life. If you are going to buy a self-driving car, read the ethic policy. What if puppy comes and this self-driving car puts you in opposite lane? Don't get me wrong, I love puppies, but putting a life of 6 to 8 people to save one puppy, I don't know. Second interesting chapter was on terrorism. He asked a very good question. He provides some data, how many people terrorists have killed? As compared to terrorists, more people have died in road accidents. More people has been killed by diabetes or other diseases. But why we are so scared of terrorists? Why we overreact to terrorists? He talks about 9/11. Everybody remembers Twin Towers were blown, but nobody remembers Pentagon was blown. everybody is written everybody's image or two towers were broken. But what was our response? Spending $1 trillion to wage a war on terrorists is justified? He was asking that question. He mentions that terrorists are desperate people. They cannot wage war on the state. What they can do is they put up some spectacular terrorist attack on in some localized place, and they hope that the government will overreact. Should you overreact? Should your response should be objective, calculated, and appropriate? Lot of time our response is whenever terrorists kill some 10 people on the bus, we justify our overreaction. Oh my god, these terrorists are going to get hold of nuclear weapons tomorrow. The question he asks is, just because terrorists can get nuclear weapons in the future, should you react to killing of 10 people on a bus same way as a terrorist detonating nuclear weapons? The question he asks, does our fear towards terrorism is justified? Is our reaction, our government reaction is justified? We are not holding government for pandemic, so many people killed. We are not asking government can it prevent this kind of action in the future. But when some terrorism act, when some terrorist act happens, we expect our state to protect us, wage a war, overreact. The third great chapter from the book is about the education. 10-20 years back we knew, okay, what our son is going to be. A soldier knew his son is going to be a soldier. A farmer knew his son is going to be a farmer. Now automation taking over, we are not sure how our education should be for the future. He brings a nice point that future education maybe should teach people how to think critically, how to communicate, how to coordinate with other human beings. I remember I went to one conference and in which Microsoft CEO Nadella said, okay, automation, self-driving car may save you $5,000. Where you are going to spend? You're going to take vacation. There could be opportunities in hospitality industry. Maybe our education should focus also on the soft skills, not only just the technical skills. So friends, it's a great book for the thinkers. Every chapter has great information, great question, great analysis. Highly recommended. My third top book for thinkers is Beyond Order by Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a Canadian professor and psychologist. He has another book, 12 Rules for Life, which has sold million copies worldwide. He has a YouTube channel with million of subscribers. He has videos posted by other people which has attracted billion of views. He himself is surprised by his popularity. Lot of time when he is walking in the mall, people come to him and they recognize him, they thank him. Lot of people tell him some of the things he is saying, they knew it, but they did not know how to articulate it. He has articulated some things for them. Let me give you one example from the book. In book he mentions the importance of college, higher studies. When you go to the engineering college, you are not just learning the foundations of engineering, you are learning how to communicate with other people who are engineers. You are developing a vocabulary, you are developing a speech power which helps you to communicate your ideas with others people. When we studied, we did a problem, we did not work on communication, learn how to we didn't learn how to tell engineering idea to another person. So if you are in the college, not only you should be studying, you should be working on your communication skills also. Second thing I liked from the book was a chapter where he discusses that one of the room you should keep it as clean as possible and you should put some art in your room. He says our thinking is limited. Artist thinking is unlimited, unconstrained. He can think beyond the word, beyond the imagination. What he was thinking when he was designing this art, he has a view, he has a perspective of the world view which he painted in the painting. What does that painting means? I think he's thinking a lot of technical people don't have any artistic side. I believe everyone has some artistic capability. I love drawing. When I went to engineering, I thought I have to give up my art hobbies so that I can focus on engineering and do better. Now I can go back, it was a mistake. History has shown us when people combine their technical knowledge with their artistic side, they build some magnificent products. Examples are Leonardo da Vinci, Steve Jobs, who not only designed some best engineering technical products, but they made sure that they look good. They have an artistic view also of their product. If you are doing some technical course, keep the artist inside you alive. The third point I liked from the book was he asks us to respect the institutions, and at the same time we should be flexible to have innovation, new thinking, new rules at the institution. A lot of time my daughter, she criticizes institutions and I'm defending the institutions. So he is right, there could be a middle way. We can respect the institutions, we don't have to trash the institutions, but at the same time we should be open that these institutions can work better. There is a scope for improvement. And when we are working in institutions, there is hierarchy inside the institutions. I know a lot of youngsters don't like to work in hierarchy anymore. They are looking for flat organization. They don't like to be report. They don't like reporting to anyone. They don't like anyone monitoring them. They don't like anyone advising them. But there is the advantage of hierarchy. Even if you are working, he gives some examples. If even if you are working at the lower end of the hierarchy, there are things to learn. He gives example of some waiter who loved his job, took initiatives, and became the manager of the restaurant. I think Jordan Peterson is a person whom you should listen and read his literature. On Numbers Part 2 is my favorite book, Sapiens. It is written by Yuval Noah Harari. I will take three ideas, three chapters from the book, which I found very, very interesting. The first idea was we were like any other animal. How we became the master of the world, how we became the god. According to historians, it happened due to cognition revolution where humans started exchanging ideas to another human being. We human beings can communicate to another human beings in details, whereas other animals cannot do. There are species of monkeys who can communicate to each other in different languages, but their vocabulary is limited. They can only tell, look, there is a lion coming. Look, there is an eagle on the top. Whereas human beings can tell more detailed stories, we can tell other person, oh, there is a lion near the lake. As human beings were the hunters, they could plan whether they can avoid going to the lake or they can plan a hunting party. We human beings took over the world because we can cooperate with each other. We can cooperate with strangers. We can cooperate in millions. We human beings, we believe in stories, myths, and legends. According to author, there is nothing real. Nation, companies, teams is all man-made. There's nothing natural about this. But as a human being, we can cooperate and work for a nation in million numbers, whereas other animals cannot do. You cannot tell a chimpanzee that give me your banana and you will go to heaven. Whereas human beings, you can tell these stories and he may believe it. According to author, our communication capability increased due to our gossiping nature. We are social beings. We need to gossip about each other. We need to know who is trustworthy. We need to know who is cheat. We need to know who is sleeping with whom in the bed. This ability gives us to cooperate with the strangers, build a bigger band, and that helped us to take over the world. Second interesting chapter I found from the book was, as a human being, we have come across a long way. We used to be like any other animals, where we were hunting other animals for the food. Then we became agriculturists. We started producing crops. And then we went to industrial age. Now we have built such nice houses for us. We have made such great revolutions in medicines. Are we happy? So he deals happiness from psychology, biology, spiritual and religious angle. There are people who argue that we human beings were born to be hunters. We were born to be free in the jungle. So now here we are stuck in our houses in civilized world, which is not natural, and that this is the cause of unhappiness. So how you measure happiness? Author agrees that it has to be a subjective measure. A lot of people who do survey, are you happy? They ask you a question, are you feeling happy? It's a subjective question. And based on the ratings, they may find who's happier. So if survey was done, the people who earn 100K in USA against a people who earn 50,000 salary in 1 year, it was found that people who earn $100,000 in a year were happier. This brings to the question, does money buys you happiness? The answer is yes, but only up to a point. If a mother who, if a divorced mother in USA is drawing $12,000 in a year, she has two kids to feed. If she wins a lottery, if she wins a lottery of half million, it's gonna bring her happiness for short term, long term. Whereas a executive who's earning $250,000 in 1 year, a lottery of half million is gonna bring him just short term reliefs. It was found in the survey that the strong ties with the community and family matters. A diverse billionaire would be less happy than a middle-aged working class man who has strong community and family ties. It was also found that people who have illness and pain for the long term, their happiness is less. Another interesting fact about happiness is there is objective criteria and there is a subjective expectation. Suppose we are getting a raise and we expect 10% raise, and if we get 5% raise, we are going to feel unhappy. Whereas if we were expecting 2% raise and we get 5% raise, we are going to feel very happy. Oh, we got a good raise. Then it comes to the biological angle. A lot of biologists think happiness is determined by a complex system of nerves, neurons, synapses, and various chemical substances such as serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. So if you are sad, maybe you need a pill to be happy, according to this biologist. If you take this biologist argument seriously, so people who led the French Revolution was unhappy, and after French Revolution they were still unhappy. If they just would have taken a pill for making them happy, all this bloodshed could have been avoided. On the same scale, some people are born to be happy and some people are miserable all the time. On the same time, some people are born to be happy and some people are miserable all the time. On the spiritual side, we want to find some meaning in our life. Is our life meaningful? Is our work is meaningful? That makes happy. From the religious angle, the religion Buddhism has done a lot of research on the subject of happiness. According to Buddhism, what makes us happy is when pleasant thing happens, we label as happiness. When unpleasant events happen, we mark it as sad, and we keep chasing pleasant events. We keep chasing these good things which make us happy. Instead of treating events are as happy or sad, we should treat them as experience. It's just another event. We are going through some other event, and we should not be chasing happiness endlessly. And this chase causes us depression, sorrow, and grief. The third chapter I liked. Even though human beings we made lot of advances, there was a limitation. Before 21st century, we couldn't control the evaluation. Uh, Animals were born as a part of natural selections. They were have certain characteristics. Again, according to natural selection, we were subjected to same natural selection biology rules. We live, we breathe, we die. When man was hunting wild cocks in the jungle, men wished the cocks were slow and fat. For a long time, human beings had no control over that. But as agriculture revolution, human being found out if they find a fat hen and a lazy cock, they will have a cocks who are fat and who walks slower. Though now the intelligent design is emerging, how we bring up species to our needs. A very interesting experiment was done in a French lab. A Brazilian art gave a fee to French artists to create a fluorescent rabbit. And what the scientists in the French lab did, they took so they what the scientists they took the rabbit cells, and in its DNA they put the sequences of fluorescent jellyfish, and they had a fluorescent rabbit. So we are able to design species through intelligent design, advances in biology and bionics, that being has become the God. The final message from the author is that human became the master of the world. Human has become the God. We have come to the point that we are killing our environment. We are putting animals to the suffering. We are breeding animals for our food needs. There are cows, sheep, they are brought in very limited space. They have no space to move around. They cannot socialize with other animals. They are just kept in small cages, and just to be cut one day so that they can be fed to human beings. His final message is that all these advances has a good impact. We have less violence, we have less mortality among kids. Things are We are making great advances in the medicines. So we should be kind to our surroundings and other animals too. Our number one spot is Gun, Germs and Steel by Jared Diamond. So what happened? Jared Diamond went to a very poor country, to poor countryside. A porter, a worker who was unloading his luggage, he asked the question to this professor, Professor, why you have so much luggage? This forced Jared Diamond to think why some nations are so rich, why some nations are so powerful, why some nations are so poor. What happened? So he started his study. After his study, he found out that there were geographical, climate, and environmental factors which helped some regions to become very powerful, grow as compared to some other regions. It was not because some races were very smart, genius as compared to some other races. During his study, he found out to become a powerful, prosperous nation, first thing is you have to grow from hunter society to a agriculture society. In hunter society, you have limited population, everybody is involved in hunting, cooking, and nobody has any spare time. There are three preconditions required for a society to move from a hunter society to agriculture society. First, you need to have access to high carbohydrate vegetation. Second, your climate should be dry enough to allow storage. Third, you should have animals who are docile enough that they can be made pet and they can survive in captivity. So a lot of nations in Europe and Asia, they met these conditions. Shifting to agriculture society made sure that there is enough food surplus, and when there was enough food surplus, it freed up some people from daily hunting to some special skills, and this emergence of new people with the special skills helped society to have rulers and other bureaucracies which gave more order to the nations and make them which gave more orders to the nations and make nations powerful. If you ever wondered why you need vice president, managers, CEOs in a company, you need all these people to make sure your company is competitive. They are looking for the competition, making sure they are guiding company in the right direction. Agriculture societies developed both in Asia and Europe. In Europe, because there were a lot of natural barriers like mountains, rivers, coastline, it created small states in Europe. Whereas in Asia, like China and India, there were very few geographical barriers. But it helped a large kingdom to dominate other smaller kingdom because of its manufacturing power, manpower, and trade. What happened later? These monolith empires in Asia, they became lethargic. They could take some decision. They could cut off them from rest of the world. For example, China, it banned its navy. I remember when I was growing up in India, there was a popular saying, "Oh, you should not go across the sea. You will lose your religion." Whereas these European nations, they have to make sure they are on the edge of technology. They are keeping up with the neighbors in technology, trade, warfare. If they don't keep up with their neighbors, they will be taken over by neighbors. So as China banned its navy, Europe made sure that its navy is strong. Its navy and ships helped them to roam around the global, and they became the superpower. So it's a very good book. Every page is full of information, knowledge, and wisdom. So friends, if you like this video, watch my other videos in business book playlist. Also like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel for your regular updates. Connect with me on LinkedIn and Twitter, especially LinkedIn if you like small summaries of the video. I will be posting a lot of small summaries of the video on LinkedIn.